Welcome back to the Give and Go. The Asian Cup has finally reached its end. And it ends, brother, with Qatar, the host nation, lifting up that beautiful trophy in celebration of their victory over Jordan, man. Qatar are defending champions of this tournament, and they've done it, dude. They made history here, putting them in the category of one of the top Asian sides in this region. Akram Afif getting a hat trick in this game to solidify his MVP tournament. So much to cover, man. So much to cover. Qatar are left as champions, and Jordan go out in second place.
Yeah, I have so much to say. But first things first, congratulations to the host nation for lifting their second AFC Asian Cup title. Qatar, congratulations. Yep. Absolutely incredible. The Lusail sees yet another hat trick in a final.
Yep.
This one, a very, very interesting one. And you look at the score sheet, you see penalty, and immediately you're thinking major controversy.
Yep. And that's what we got to address first, I feel like.
I think so, and I think I just want to immediately get to each of those moments because if you look at this game completely objectively, no bias to either side, I think this game was completely defined by the whistle. It was the whistle in those three major moments that defined this game, that got Qatar the result.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. And I don't mean it was defined by the whistle in a controversial way, because when you look at each instant, VAR or the referee was, I think, right.
Yep.
I think each one was actually a penalty. The first one, Nasib getting clumsy.
Yep.
Just going with a little leg extension to try and nab the ball from Akram Afif, who found space, was penetrating the Jordan defense, but I just don't think Nasib needed to do it. You know the play out on the left-hand side. Akram Afif gets inside the box. Nasib's behind him. He loses positioning, and I think he just panics, is all I can really say.
Yeah, I completely agree, because I was impressed with Akram Afif in that situation. He got that tight nibble dribbling going, and he started to look really dangerous. But there was a defender waiting for him that Nasib could have just backed off on and hoped that he could do something to impact the play. But Akram Afif's speed and just his manipulation on the ball, I think, ultimately caused that penalty, because it got Nasib to bite. And all it takes in that sort of situation, when a player has so much momentum behind it, all it takes is just a simple little tap on the foot. It wasn't even a swing at it, but something soft, something really light can still affect that player's speed and pace, and it did in this situation. So Afif goes down, and I thought it was warranted, man. It was, to me, a pretty easy penalty to call, given the context of how penalties have been called this entire tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you technically went to the VAR screen just to double check it, but every single time you looked at it, I was like, okay, this is going to be a penalty. There's no controversy here. It's a foul. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's clumsy, but unfortunately, it is a foul for Jordan. Qatar get the advantage here. Akram Afif steps up, and he puts it away. Nice slot finish, left-hand corner.
And let's talk about that celebration, bro. We have a magician here on set. Producer Rudd is a magician himself. When I saw that shit, bro, I couldn't believe it, bro. Dude. The fucking way he made that shit disappear, that was beautiful. Such cool. a creative celebration. FIFA should definitely get on top of that, bro. Put that in the video game. That'd be awesome to see. Akram Afif, man, immediately cementing his name onto the final stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And we go to
Afif getting carried off the pitch at one point.
Dude, that was... do you want to start that? Did that happen in the first half?
It happened in the first half. I think we got to acknowledge the fact that Akram Afif at one point was stretchered off of this game.
Dude, when that happened, I was like, is he... Like, what's going on? I was like,
I saw him cry, man.
Yeah, I was like, he cannot leave this game, or the whole result's going to be completely different than what it should be. But luckily, I think it was just maybe, the antics. Moment... Yeah, antics at the point, trying to waste some time, whatever it was. But he was completely fine, thankfully.
He was fine.
But for the rest of that first half, man, Qatar completely won the game with excellent midfield pressing. Jordan's midfield in Noor and Nizar got completely hounded by the Qatari midfield, and they could not figure it out. Ultimately, they just could not match up physically. They weren't passing the ball quick enough. They were holding on to the ball also too long. They tried to dribble out of situations when they should have just done really quick 1-2 touch passing. And Qatar, honestly, I think won that battle. Yeah. That defensive battle, not allowing Jordan to get into Qatar's box Qatar completely dominated in that regard. Olwan had some decent moments. Yazan kind of did too. Altamari got onto the ball a lot, but every time they were shepherded away from dangerous positions. Qatar's defense in the midfield and in the back line, I think, completely dominated that first half.
For me, I was seeing a lot of different decisions being made from this Jordanian side that I think represented them being a little shell-shocked, a little nervous, man. The stage being a little too big for them. I started to see that start to kind of simmer into the mental aspect of these players because they were making weird decisions, bro. They weren't able to be their full expressive selves out on that pitch. Like you said, Altamari specifically, man, like just not being as deadly as he usually is on his dribbling runs. And I do think that's credit to Qatar, who we complimented last video. Their defense, their ability to hound you, they suffocate you at times, man. And the thing that they do is that they don't leave any open gaps for you to like take advantage of. And Jordan's always looking for those sort of opportunities. They just couldn't find it this time around. I think at the most they were able to generate was Olwan getting in on the wing, getting into the box, sends a nice ball into Altamari, who then shoots a good shot, but it gets blocked by a Qatari defender almost on the line, saving themselves a goal there. And that was probably the most dangerous opportunity they created in that entire first half. But for the most part, man, Qatar did look in control here, and it's credit to their defense and their midfield.
Yeah, and there was like another moment. Olwan also on the left-hand side got space, send in like a cross this time, and Altamari had to volley it. Very difficult chance, but it was open. But that's what they were relegated to. Very difficult opportunities. And again, I think all of that credit goes to that Qatari defense. They did it against Iran, and they made it very difficult for Iran to play their expressive offensive football, and they did it again today when it really mattered here in the final because Jordan just could not get flowing in this first half. And I was curious. Going into halftime, I was like, all right, it is only 1-0. Jordan have so many offensive weapons. Surely they're not going to just let the occasion get to them and die out here and lose 1-0 or 2-0. I was expecting some sort of response. It's the final. They've made it so far. It's historic that they even got here. And just looking at how good Yazan, Olwan, and Altamari have been, I was like, surely they're not going to go out without giving Qatar at least something to think about. And it took a little bit, but I'd say after 5 minutes of that second half, Jordan really started getting into Qatar's box. But this time with a lot more danger and threat.
100%, man, 100%. The Jordanian onslaught began, and there was just nonstop attack, wave of attack, one after another. And I think it was after like 4 different shot attempts that Barsham was saving. Man, he was having an incredible display of saves throughout that whole little process. Finally, Yazan gets on the end of a ball, somehow bringing this ball down in a absolutely godly way, dude. The way he brought that thing down was so beautiful, man. A piece of art. You watch that go in slow motion. It's one of the prettiest things you'll see all week, bro. It's amazing. He brings it down, and then still to have the skill to finish it on the volley with the keeper rushing out at him. Insane goal, bro. I lost my mind when I saw it because the fans in the stadium lost their minds as well. And immediately I knew, we saw it. They're tied 1-1 and we have ourselves a game.
Dude, one of the silkiest bring downs in the box I have ever seen, dude. Yazan Al-Naima just bringing it down perfectly. Sets it up off the little bounce and he just bangs it home. 1-1. And I was like, I was screaming, bro. I got off my couch because, I was just going for Jordan personally. And I was like, this is it. The momentum had been building. They got the goal. And what's crazy is after that goal went in, I said to myself, I was like, how are Qatar going to get out of this? Because they had completely lost any sort of offensive presence over the last 15 minutes up until that goal. And I was like, how are they going to figure this out? Because now they don't have offensive flow. And secondly, Jordan is generating so much momentum. And with this goal, they're only going to do more. And what's crazy is that I got my answer immediately.
No, right away, bro. Right away. About 3-4 minutes after the goal happened, corner of the box. What was his name for the Qatari player that went down?
Ismail
gets brought down by Al-Mardi.
Yeah.
It then goes to review. VAR looks at it. And you can kind of tell from the body language here, at least from Al-Mardi, I think he knew he kind of fucked up a little bit because he left it up in the balance to the ref to decide, man. And the ref, I mean, just watching that replay, you could just tell, oh, he's going to call this penalty because he did clip him.
For this one, I actually see this one as not indiscipline. I see it as pure bad luck. Because when you look at the action that Almardi's trying to do, he's simply trying to box out Ismail, cut across his body and box him and shield him away from the ball. A maneuver that every defender does in those type of situations. Unfortunately for Almardi, though, in doing that action, in lunging to shield away from the ball, he clips Ismail. It was an insane, really unlucky coincidence that as he was shielding the ball, he also just stepped on Ismail's foot. It's a penalty, but I think it's so unlucky for Almardi. And there's nothing you can do if you're Jordan. It's really good forcefulness from Ismail to go for the ball. The play was dead. The ball was overshot completely. I think Almardi got really unlucky there, but it is a penalty because he does clip him. Man.
It is a penalty once again. That's, to me, 2 straight unquestionable penalties right there. Akram Afif seals it, gets another goal here. They go up 2-1.
Yeah, it was a really nice goal. Yeah. Goalkeeper trying to get in Akram Afif's head this time by shifting his starting position, but Akram Afif doesn't fall for it whatsoever, and he just bangs it home. Qatar go up 2-1. And I just felt that as a momentum killer for Jordan. I really did, because we never got to see what the comeback Jordan was trying to put together flourish. We just never got to see it. And again, it's nobody's fault. Qatar did what they had to do. They went forward in that one action they just drew a penalty. I think Almardi got unlucky, maybe a little bit of indiscipline perhaps, but that's just what ended up happening. 2-1, Jordan can't fulfill the comeback. There's still time, but around the 80th minute, man, another mistake from Jordan.
Yeah.
Just another mistake. Yeah. A beautiful assisted header by Al-Muwaz Ali, who finds Akram Afif on the break, gets a really heavy touch, but it's actually that heavy touch that I think confuses the goalkeeper. He comes out a little bit late. Akram Afif uses his pace, gets to the ball first, and it's a clear pen.
Yep. No question, man. First, they reviewed to see if it was offsides. It wasn't offside. Boom. You look at the actual play, and it's a clear penalty, bro. It's a clear penalty. And I think now is a good time to acknowledge this, because now we have 3 straight back-to-back penalties being called. As you mentioned at the very beginning, when you look at the score table, it looks bad when you see 3 penalties given to Qatar in their home country. But I'm already getting messages, bro. Rigged tournament. I'm getting messages. Qatar was handed the victory. Apparently this happens all the time in Asia is what I'm hearing. Rigged refereeing. I just want to say, man, that if you're be unbiased and just watch the football on the pitch, there's no question to me that these 3 were penalties, bro.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that someone would try to discredit Qatar's incredible run so far because of these penalty calls just saddens me, man. It really does a little bit, because, and we'll talk about it some more in the future, but Qatar ends up winning this tournament through an incredible journey they've been on. Yeah. Yes, it was through penalties at the end of the day, but it was deserved because they caused so much havoc in the opponent's box, and it was epitomized by this Akram Afif 3rd penalty where he was able to get the ball around the goalkeeper. Keeper fouls him, clear penalty, Afif scores, hat-trick in the final. Let's fucking go, dude.
Absolutely, man. And I think maybe that's why people are just really maybe a little frustrated, is because Qatar did not win this game by playing beautiful offensive football. They won this game with rigid defense at the back and commitment in the defensive press too. So I think they won that battle completely against Jordan. If you're going for Jordan, though, you're very frustrated because all of your mistakes were concentrated to fouls in the box. And that's what cost you the game. It wasn't necessarily your game plan. You were actually mounting a comeback, but it was just those small instances that so happened to be in your own box that cost you the game. It's very frustrating, but Qatar forced it. Every single call was correct. 3 penalties is crazy, as you just said, but I just think there's zero controversy here.
Yeah,
Qatar win this game.
That's football, bro. That's football. And this is one of those games where I was happy that at the end of the day, I'm not from one of these countries, because I would be very frustrated if I was from Jordan, man. I would, because 90 minutes to make history to win your first AFC Asian Cup. Obviously, I sympathize with them, but I'll never fully understand the pain that these fans are feeling right now because of how this game played out. It's hard, man. This is a cruel game because you play this game 10 times. I don't think Qatar wins the majority of them, man. Or this could be a 5-5 type of result here for both sides. It's so even to me. And on any other given day, Jordan could have came out firing and scored early in this match. So I just think luck and the footballing gods at the end of the day were on Qatar's side. Yep. And it's all right because they do deserve it at the end of the day. But my goodness, man, what a brutal match to be a part of. And Qatar sees themselves as champions.
My immediate takeaway after this game ended was, I was like, oh, Jordan are going to want this one back. Mm-hmm. They wish they could replay this game just because of the way it played out. It's very unlucky, sloppy at other moments, but as you just said, I had the same takeaway. You play this match 10 times in a final setting, I think Jordan could win possibly the majority of them, at least half of them.
Yeah.
But today they just got, a mix of unluckiness, but also they were facing against host energy, and sometimes you just can't beat that.
I don't think you can. You can't beat host energy. You can't beat a magician and Akram Afif, who literally can do tricks on the fucking pitch. I mean, it's tough, man. It really was a tough feat to achieve for Jordan. The fact they got here, though, I mean, their fans should be so proud. They should welcome them home with open arms once they get off of that plane, man, because this team was on an incredible journey and, I mean, proved so many people wrong throughout this entire tournament. It's an amazing journey that we've seen from the Jordanians, putting themselves on the map and honestly giving us something to root for in regards to the 2026 World Cup, and hoping that maybe then they can showcase themselves on an even bigger stage to not just the Asian region, but to the whole world.
Yeah, dude, Jordan should be so proud of themselves, of this team, of this country, because they completely showed out at this tournament. One of the most dynamic offenses here. They scored some really beautiful goals. They have some really exciting players on the offensive end. They have a pretty good defense too. 3-1, honestly, I don't think does Jordan justice, which is why it'll be so brutal and harsh if you're a Jordanian fan, because you just don't like to see that scoreline. I think they played way better than what 3-1 suggests. And so, yeah, I think you'll definitely feel hard done. But because of that, because of the way this game played out, you can definitely say, oh, we didn't get beat 3-1. We just, lost 3-1. It's just how it is. It's football. As you said, man, this is how the game can go sometimes. Jordan, I thought, played beautifully today in moments, and they've had a really amazing journey here in this tournament. So you should be so proud, Jordan. So proud.
100%, man. And for Qatar, I mean, this is ecstasy, man. Titi Marquez couldn't believe it on the sidelines that he actually pulled this shit off, bro. Like an incredible performance from him. But this team, this country, I mean, this is special, man. Back-to-back Asian Cups is insane in a region where we thought we had a rising Japanese side looking to make an insane name for themselves. An Irani team that is so stacked, so strong, and has their, honestly, golden generation right now. A team like South Korea with one of the greatest Asian players of all time, and Heung-min Son leading them, as well as Starboy, Kang-in Lee. Australia with their grittiness. I mean, there's so many other teams. Saudi Arabia, if you want, with the money they pumped into their country. Like, there's so many other countries you would have thought would have came out on top in these past two tournaments. But at the end of the day, bro, it's Qatar who shows themselves out in this tournament and see themselves lift the trophy, man. I mean, that's something special, man. Like, this might be honestly a golden generation for Qatar themselves right now, because I think they're honestly over exceeding their expectations of what they thought they could achieve on the footballing level, given how they just now recently started to build their footballing foundation that they have, man. What an incredible start, and hats off to them, man. They're doing incredible.
This result, if you really look at what this means for Qatar, it's crazy. Back-to-back titles, continental titles, is unheard of in pretty much any confederation. And Qatar just pulled it off. 2019 winners, 5 years later, they're still champions of Asia. An insane unbeaten run here at the AFC Asian Cup, dating back all the way to 2015, a tournament where they lost all 3 group stage games. Wow. They go on a crazy run in 2019, and then they lift the title again this year. It's crazy what Qatar have really achieved. And as you said, this is historic, man. Akram Afif, too, will go down as one of the greatest all-time performers in AFC Asian Cup history.
Can we go international?
Because this national cup,
look at the best Copa Americas, the best Gold Cup performances, best Euros. This is one of the greatest performances we've seen on the international stage, man.
And what's crazy is that he did it in 2019 too. He got 10 assists that tournament.
Good Lord.
10.
Good Lord.
And he got 3 assists this tournament and 8 goals.
Wow.
So over the 2 tournaments in which he's both won, He has dominated the scene. So yes, we could go in all international cups. Akram Afif has cemented himself as one of the top performers all time. Yeah. And I think that piece of history for Akram Afif at these last 2 AFC Asian Cups will be cemented for the rest of time. I think to repeat the numbers that he's put on in these last 2 tournaments will be so hard to repeat. It'll be so difficult to do.
Yeah, I think that's why the only reason I can't get as excited about Qatar, this is the only reason, is because I've never seen a team so drastically perform on their continental tournament versus how they perform in the more bigger world stages such as the World Cup. Like the drastic level of quality is so stark that that's the next obstacle for me when it comes to Qatar. Can they translate this level of success that they just achieved back-to-back times at the Asian Cup over to the World Cup? That's what I'm looking for, man. Like, please, let's look for a round of 16 appearance if possible, or round of 32 in the next format. Let's look to them be able to get out of the group and then go on to at least try to be a little bit more feisty down the line in these major tournaments. None of this, like, getting knocked out after 3 games, putting on one of the worst performances we've ever seen from a host nation. I want to put that past Qatar, and I want to be able to root for this team in hopes that they can achieve something even grander, even bigger, more memorable on a bigger stage. That's their next obstacle, man, and I hope it does happen, but I'm going to be a little hesitant until I see it.
Yeah, I remember a month ago when we did the previews for this tournament, my biggest thing on Qatar was the identity that they had so excellently defined in 2019 was completely gone going into this tournament. They're completely different. In 2019, they won that title by being extremely offensive, and they also had an energy of hope that they could do well in the World Cup in 2022. But as you just said, once 2022 came around, the Qatar team was no good. They had lost all of the success that they had built. And going into this tournament, the biggest question was, who is this new version of Qatar? They had just gotten rid of Carlos Queiroz a month before the tournament started. Tintin Marquez comes in and he's tasked with putting this crop of talented players together and trying to mount some sort of title defense. But here's what's crazy, dude. I think we saw in real time Qatar find their new identity.
Yeah.
Throughout this last month. Throughout the group stage, I thought they were all right. And even against Palestine in the round of 16, I thought they were okay. But they finally showed some really good grit and resilience against Uzbekistan. They were phenomenal in the defensive end against Iran. And once again today, we saw the insane commitment that they have in the midfield and defensive ends. And then, of course, throughout this entire tournament, the superstar that is Akram Afif showed out today. So I do think there's questions for Qatar going forward. But here's the thing, dude. This could not have gone better for them. And when you look at the team that Tintin Marquez has now built over this last month, this is the group of players that's going to get you qualified for the next World Cup. There's no doubt, bro. There's no doubt that Tintin's the guy now.
Oh, 100%.
There's no doubt.
100%.
There's also no doubt of who the best 11 is. Abdul Razzaq is a good example of that. Like, he didn't really starting for Qatar until the semifinal. But look at the amount of running that he did. Mohamed Wad was a revelation this tournament in the left wing back position. He was naturally a midfielder, but he's actually perfect in that role. Incredibly smart on the ball, but he's also a pretty good defender. Lucas Mendes and Mahdi were so good.
I love that Lucas Mendes guy,
They
man.
completely improved Qatar's defense. Completely improved it.
Where'd they come from, bro?
Yeah.
Where were they?
Well, here's the funny. Lucas Mendes was a part of the team that Tintin Marquez coached in Qatar. So he had coached for the last 5 years. And then for this tournament, he's like, all right, you're going to join us at the Qatar national team.
Wow.
Yeah,
My
pretty
goodness.
cool.
Yeah, that's
great
awesome.
connection there. And so it's kind of crazy seeing a Brazilian expat get nationalized for Qatar. But I mean, if he's been in Qatar for so long, I'm completely fine with it. But look how immense he was for him, dude. And then in the midfield, Jassim was fantastic. Again, there's just so many good players that have really shone for Qatar at this tournament specifically. And again, I think what's really important for this crop of players is I think they believe in Tintin Marquez.
Yeah.
Like, there's complete commitment to the coach here that I think they're going to be fine going in the World Cup cycle. There's a lot of teams that still have some things to figure out, but I think Qatar, honestly, they found a new identity. I'm not saying it's going to be super successful, but I don't think there's going to be any stress as to, like, okay, who's going to play where? Do we trust the coach? I think there's a lot of trust, at least with the personnel that Qatar has.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, this Asian Cup has shown me that the There's a lot of teams that are trying to get into that World Cup this year, man. And I think it's going to be like, this is almost like just a smaller representation of what's coming, man. Like the World Cup qualifying, I think is going to be just absolute havoc, man. Chaos, because so many teams now want to make a name for themselves. And there's so many teams that I'm seeing that honestly could step up and do something special at the World Cup in 2026 here in the United States. And now Qatar is another contender for that.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to me that like the talent that's here in this region, but then that Qatar is the one that sees himself lift the title, man. It's a beautiful thing. Congrats once again to all the Qatar fans out there, man. What a journey it has been from being doubted by so many people, not really being given credit by so many people as well, until eventually earning that respect, earning that credibility through their incredible games in these knockout stages, man. Qatar has been on an amazing journey, and they see themselves lift the trophy to end it, man. Absolutely storybook.
Yeah, storybook. Congratulations to Qatar. A crazy way to win it, but so deserved. Akram Afif, just what an insane tournament performance just overall. But yeah, man, as you said, this just gets me hyped for the World Cup qualifiers in Asia. I don't know how the format's exactly going to be. I need to see how many actually are going to be allocated spots for the World Cup too, since it's expanded. But dude, like, once it gets down to those final stages, it's going to be competitive, dude. What a way to kind of just get us hyped for it. This AFC Asian Cup, as you said, really showed us a lot. And the amount of talent that's spread out throughout this entire continent is so fascinating to see. This is going to be, honestly, just chaos. It's going to be exhilarating. I'm really excited for the Asian World Cup qualifiers, dude.